What's the first thing that comes to your mind when you think of a chicken? Probably not genius, right? But over the last few decades, scientists have been discovering what chickens have known all along. That beneath all that clucking and scratching is one of the most intelligent, socially complex, and underestimated animals on the entire planet. What if I told you that a baby chick is better at maths than a human toddler? That they can lie and deceive each other? Okay, so let's start with bird brain. For a long time we thought because their brains are structured differently than ours, they must be simple, right? But it turns out different does not mean dumber. It just means different. And in some cases, it means better. Researchers have found that newly hatched chicks, we're talking just a few days old, can do basic arithmetic. They can add and subtract. In experiments, when they see objects hidden and then some are moved, they can track the quantities and will consistently choose the screen hiding the larger amount. But it's not just counting. They have incredible logic skills. Chickens live in these really complex social hierarchies called a pecking order. And to navigate this, they use a type of reasoning called transitive inference. It sounds complicated, but it really just means this. If a chicken knows that hen A is dominant over her, and she sees hen A dominate a newcomer, hen C, she can automatically figure out that she is also dominant over hen C without ever having to fight her. That is a complex logical feat that human children do not typically master until the age of 7. And get this, they've even passed their own version of the famous marshmallow test. You know, the one where the kids have to choose between one treat now or 2 treats later? Well, when hens were given a choice between a small, immediate food reward or a much better reward that required some waiting, they consistently chose to wait. That shows self-control and the ability to plan for the future. But perhaps the most profound discovery is their capacity for empathy. In one incredible study, scientists exposed a mother hen to a harmless but unpleasant puff of air. Later, she watched her chicks get subjected to that very same thing. And when they did, her heart rate shot up, she became visibly distressed, and she started making calls to comfort them. She was not just reacting to their sounds, she was feeling their stress. She understood what they were going through. So we have these empathetic, logical creatures with self-control. And like any complex society, they need a way to communicate, right? And their language is way more than just cluck. Chickens have at least 24 distinct vocalizations. And many of these are what's called referential. That means they're not just sounds, they're words. For example, they have one specific alarm for an aerial predator, like a hawk. That sound tells the whole flock to freeze and look up. And a completely different call for a land predator, like a fox. The flock knows what the word means and exactly how to react without ever seeing the danger themselves. And just like with human language, they can use it to lie. Roosters will sometimes make their special "I found food" call even when there's no food, just to trick hens into coming closer so he can mate with them. But the hens are smart, of course. They quickly learn which roosters are chronic liars and start ignoring them. It's a whole social game of strategy and reputation. And their world looks totally different than ours. So humans have 3 types of color-receptive cones in our eyes. Chickens has 4. That 4th cone allows them to see ultraviolet light. It's a color that is completely invisible to us. For them, though, it makes berries and bugs pop against the background. And it even helps a mother hen to see which of her chicks are the healthiest, because their new feathers reflect UV light. It's literally like a superpower. Okay, so that means we have empathetic, strategic communicators with UV vision. But this next part is my favorite. So scientists have confirmed that birds are the only branch of the dinosaur family tree that survived the asteroid impact 66 million years ago, which means that the chicken is, in a very real and scientific sense, a modern-day dinosaur. So the next time you see a chicken, or hear someone use the term bird-brained, maybe you'll think of this. You'll remember the mathematical, empathetic, deceptive, UV-seeing living dinosaur that is one of the most successful species on Earth. And knowing all of this, Knowing how complex and incredible and full of life these animals really are makes this next fact really hard to process. So there are billions of chickens alive right now. In a country like South Africa alone, over 1 billion are farmed for food every single year. And the vast majority of these animals live in industrial factory farms in conditions that prevent them from doing almost any of the amazing things that we just talked about. They cannot forage, they cannot establish a natural social order, they often cannot even stretch their wings. It's a huge, very complicated topic, but it's an important one. We actually made a whole other video exploring the sheer scale of that number and what life is like for those billions of birds. If you want to see it, you can click the link right up here. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.